Have you ever faced a dilemma in which you're looking for a mentor and you don't know how to find a mentor? You also don't know what career stage in your life you should get a mentor. A lot of people confuse between a coach and a mentor. Sometimes people also think that family can be a mentor. Now, what is coming very clearly to us at Career Earth is that mentoring is being seen as a one off event when there is a huge amount of science and art behind it. Mentorship is a journey. Finding the right mentor at the right career stage can actually provide you the purpose in your life. Remember Career Earth, finding the purpose in your life? To have that mentor as someone who can support you in identifying and pursuing your career is very important. What people have to also understand is that mentorship changes at various stages of your life. A mentor today may just be a good well wisher advisor later on in your career. A mentor today may not be somebody who's going to be always in a position to mentor you, help you identify patterns, and create solutions for you in the long run. And that is why we decided to create this video on how to identify good mentors, at what career stage in your life mentorship matters, how should you get the right mentor, what should you be looking at when you identify a mentor, how should you approach a mentor. After all, not everybody is willing to be a mentor, and those who are can sometimes become casual mentors. We are not looking for casual mentors. We are looking for serious mentors, mentors who really are interested in shaping your trajectory and taking you towards your goals. So let's get started on how do we find good mentors. Most people choose mentors based on admiration. That's an emotional decision. You get emotional, you really like a person, you choose the person. But what you should be asking is, do they represent a path that you genuinely want to follow? Not just money, power, or status. The second most important thing is that are they available to you when you need to talk to them and get consistent guidance? A lot of people chase celebrity mentors, very senior leaders in the organization who just do not have the time or bandwidth to spend with you at that stage of their career. Perhaps later when they retire. The next thing is pattern depth. Have they seen enough cycles in your domain to recognize patterns? See, if you have not seen the patterns and how they are playing out in your respective industry, then mentoring somebody on that is very, very hard. Because how do you know how the pattern will follow? The next most important thing, have they actually done the work on which they are giving you advice? Because when you do work, you end up with scars of failure. Very few of us have had situations where from day one you are succeeding. And these failure scars are important because these are where you draw lessons which you can share with people, your mentees. You can tell the mentees that these are the challenges I have faced, and that is what mentorship should look like. What trade offs did you make when you faced those challenges? What patterns worked for you and what did not work for you in the industry? That is what true, genuine mentorship would actually enable or entail. Now, the question is finding somebody who has all these three things or four things that I mentioned is critical. You're an early career professional and you think that you need a good mentor. And I agree with you, you do need a good mentor. But the question is, who should be a good mentor for you? Should it be a person who's 20 years senior to you? A person who is perhaps not in the same industry as you are? Somebody at home who has kind of been in the same business that you are in? I think you need to understand something very clearly. Early in your career, growth is completely dependent on you mastering their technical skills. And the person who can be a good mentor is somebody who can help you do that. Because those technical skills that you master in the first 5 to 10 years of your career, they will hold you in good state for the rest of your life. That is why it is important to find a mentor who has about 5 to 10 years of experience more than you. Ideally, somebody who's supervising you so that they can see where you are going, what you are doing, how much you are learning. So don't be caught up so much about having a very senior person in the company to be your mentor. Find some person or a supervisor who can actually help you develop the skills. And you will see that it takes you a long way, because if your skills are well developed and you have a mentor who is 5 to 10 years of experience ahead of you, you tend to also have a trajectory. Because what happens is the person who is 5 to 10 years ahead of you in your career, that person will also get promoted. But because that person has invested so much time and energy in your development and also likes you, they will take you along. So what happens next? You started off as an analyst, you became an associate, you became a assistant vice president, and next thing you know, you became a vice president, because your mentor or your supervisor kept growing in their careers, and they kept mentoring you and growing you, and you also kind of reached that level. So that is why investing early in a mentor who is just 5 to 10 years ahead of you on the curve, who has good technical expertise, who's really interested in developing your skills, that is the key. Don't change celebrity frame or chase the biggest name in the organization. That may not work out, because such people may not have the time. Access issue might be there. They might not be able to spend time with you and help you develop your skill set. For mid-career professionals, it is very tricky. You want to find a mentor who has gone through the industry cycles many times, who has seen patterns of how the industry goes up and goes down. At this stage, you move away from saying, how do I do my job? Because that you've already learned in your early career, to how do I build my trajectory towards growth? You want a person who has pivoted, who has seen pivots, who has helped other people navigate pivots. Ideally, somebody who also has cross-functional experience, because it's very hard to say that if you are in finance all your life you will do finance. If you are in operations all your life you will do operations, or marketing, or engineering, or pharmaceuticals. So it's important to have somebody who has a slightly more panoramic view of the industry, not just a functional and narrow view. Now, one thing you must always remember and be very, very careful. Sometimes what happens is you come across mentors who kind of live their life through you. So they feel that they have somebody who looks up to them. So they should finish their unfinished goals by roping you in and making you do that work. That may not be what you are interested in. Doing some a work that somebody else wants finished. Now, that is one of the biggest pitfalls, because what happens is that people at the mid career level start thinking that if they were to do what the mentor is asking them to do, their careers will actually go up. What we see is that in such situations, it ends up in an unhappy story. The mentor in one direction, the mentee in the other direction. So if you are a mid-career professional, then find somebody who has had multiple career pivots, who has got a panoramic view of the industry and not just one function, who is not somebody who's using you to get their unfinished agenda met, because then you will always be unhappy. When you hit the senior career bracket, mentorship plays a slightly different role. Mentors are people who advocate for you, especially when you are not in the room. They are the people who say this person is actually good and should be given an opportunity. They're also sounding boards. For example, you have got 4 or 5 amazing job offers from some of the top companies in the world. Now you are trying to figure out which of the offers you should take. Who do you go to? You go to somebody senior, somebody who has lived the multiple pivots of the industry, somebody who is not going to reveal that you had come to them asking for expert advice, somebody you trust, somebody who can actually speak with and say, you know what, I've got these different opportunities, each one of them is equally fascinating, but can you please help me identify or give me the pros and cons, or if nothing else, here are the pros and cons I think, can you validate them for me? You often find that at senior levels, mentorship takes a completely different dimension. Early in the career, we were talking about how you should be building your skills. Then we were talking about trajectory in the mid-career life. Now we are talking about a completely different situation where you are actually requiring mentors to become sponsors and advocates for you. So as you see, with every passing stage of your career, mentorship takes on a different dimension. And it doesn't end at mid-career. It continues post that into senior levels. One day you might be on a boardroom and you might want to discuss something very technical or something which has got ethical concerns or other issues. Who do you talk to? You can't obviously go and talk to inside the company and say, you know what, I'm on the board and you please tell me what I should do. You obviously need somebody who can help you navigate that crisis. That is why mentoring takes on a completely different dimensions. So you can see one important thing, that at every stage, the type of mentor that you need has changed. From a supervisor to a mid-career professional to now at a CXO senior level. Let's take you through a few case studies to kind of put all this in perspective. So Rohan, with about 2 to 3 years of experience, he sought mentorship from a corporate VP. A corporate vice president is a very senior role for a young fresher. The advice given to him was think long term, build relationships. Not bad advice at all. I think it's a very good advice. We should all build relationships. But Rohan needed tactical guidance. Instead, he received philosophy. The mismatch showed the skill development. And that is what I have been saying that in this video, that you need to identify who is a good mentor. Well-wishers, there are many of them. People who can give advice, many of them. But a mentor's job at yours in your career is very different from just giving philosophical advice. Then we had Meera, who works for is in an operations role for one of the big companies, and she had a mentor, and she went and asked the mentor some questions on how she can develop her career because she had challenges. She was married, she was going to have a baby, and so on. The mentor said, you know what, Meera, you need to ask yourself, what trade-offs are you willing to take? And that is good mentorship. Instead of saying this is right or this is wrong, you need to ask the question, what trade-offs are you going to make? And this question comes from the fact that this particular individual had gone through multiple pivots in the industry, had seen the ups and down cycles in the domain, and therefore was able to ask a more realistic and more holistic question instead of just giving philosophical advice. And one important thing, you are supposed to get mentorship to become independent. You should be able to take decisions on your own. If mentorship is going to make you completely dependent, when only if your mentor says you will do it, then there is a problem. Then there is a problem. Because then that is not mentorship, then that is dependency. It's completely different from what we are advocating at Career Arth. We are saying use good mentors, right mentors at the appropriate stage of your career to develop and grow, not become dependent on your mentors. At Career Arth, we have realized a couple of things. Our lessons are one, mentorship changes as your career progresses. Early in your career, you need somebody who can give you skill clarity, build your skills. As a mid-career professional, you need a mentor who can guide you, give you your trajectory. Later on, you need somebody who can advocate for you, who can sponsor you. Mentorship is not about admiration. It is not about being dependent on the mentor for everything, for every decision. If your career stage and your mentor is not aligned, then it is unlikely that you're getting good mentorship. So mentorship is about aligning your career with the right mentor. If these two things are not aligned, it's not mentorship. Now you need to ask yourself that is your mentor giving you career clarity, or are you becoming too dependent on the mentor for everything? Because if the latter is happening, then your career is not going anywhere. Your career arth or the career purpose is getting defeated. Having clarity and having a strong earth or purpose is the key. That is why we often say क्लैरिटी होगा तो ग्रोथ होगा, ग्रोथ होगा तो करियर अर्थ होगा. ये हमारा है आपसे वादा. I look forward to seeing you at Career Arth. Stay tuned.